John, as a politician and a psychoanalyst, is a truly unique combination.
He's a brave, committed, and a persistent soul who has made a difference in a number of international settings over time in Israel, in Latin America, and Europe.
No one else I know in the history of psychoanalysis has been able to implement psychological ideas and have it matter for the peace process.
John sees a big picture. He really believes that in order to resolve intractable conflict, we have to understand the very first origins of that conflict. He says, don't just look at people's actions, look at why they are acting that way. And don't just look at why they are acting that way today, look at what has brought them and their predecessors to this point.
For me, he's one of the few international politicians that have the courage to be balanced in these emotional conflicts, the courage to talk about issues that maybe others don't talk about. Right now, for example, with the situation in Israel, Palestine, the Gaza conflict, you don't have many people who try to look at the situation from the perspective of universal human rights, talking about Israelis and Palestinians and their rights for peace and tranquility and so on at the same time, rather than just talking about one of the two groups.
He comes in, he knows his role, and he listens deeply for the background, pragmatic understanding, and depth of what everybody is struggling for and about. Understanding the kinds of transcendent motives that lie behind these deep feelings. He doesn't flinch.
He made the point that, well, you don't have, of course, you're not going to agree 100% with everybody all the time, but even when you do disagree, you can do so in a very civil way and maintain high standards in public discourse, in civil discourse. You don't have to go down into the gutter. You don't need to do that at all.
I can think of occasions when he has gone to Canada and to Australia in his work with Indigenous peoples. I well remember us being in Canada on one occasion at a Liberal Party conference, and we were there to talk about Northern Ireland. It was during the peace process. But John was talking with Prime Minister Cretia, and he took the opportunity to explain to the Prime Minister the challenges that Indigenous people in Canada were facing. And when Prime Minister Cretia said to him, well, don't you think I know all this? John's response was, well, if you do, then why are you not doing anything about it? He is prepared to challenge anyone about anything if he thinks it's the right thing to do.
He was one of the chief figures in the Good Friday Agreement.
And if you understand the story of Northern Ireland, his political career was a courageous stand. And it was a courageous stand against two extremes. So, finding the middle ground, standing up for it, and being able to have a counter to both forms of extremism that existed here was very courageous. Political involvement in Northern Ireland was a personal risk. There was a risk to John's life by doing what he did politically. There was no room for the middle ground. The politics was deeply polarized. It was a very binary system, and John came in and created the middle ground.
So there is a painting of John, which is almost like full size, looking very almost regal and commanding as a, obviously Speaker of Northern Ireland Assembly. But John is both very, very serious, but also very approachable and very human. So while initially, like even through the painting itself, you can feel, the sort of the greatness and the statesman, he looks like a statesman. At the same time, he's also a friend and a colleague and somebody who connects very well with people on all different levels. There is another really incredible painting when he brought people across the sectarian divide and unified them in this painting, which is a snapshot of the very first Northern Ireland Assembly. which is also part of his legacy, which is also part of his peace building approach of, using arts and culture and, always bringing people together when they, disarmed, on this painting, you cannot guess who is on which side, like it's just a bunch of, leaders who are driving Northern Ireland forward.
I think he has a very humanistic view and really sort of doesn't see any reason that opponents can't find a way to talk with one another.
I think he inherits much of it from his parents, and in particular his father, who was a Presbyterian minister in Northern Ireland, and from whom John learned very, very quickly that you must do what is right, not what is easy.
He is himself a very devout Christian. From an early age, questioned, what's the Trinity all about? And as he said, he was able to argue with the person who gave the sermon every Sunday, his father, because he had lunch with him afterwards. He not only points the way for psychoanalysis, but he points the way for what it means to be a good person and implementing spiritual values.
It embraces for him the spirituality of other religions. So there's a big respect for other religions too. And he tirelessly reminds us of the enormous societal relevance of religions, whether you yourself are a religious person or not.
He is brave enough to bring a Christian, a Jewish, and a Muslim clergies together, a Muslim imam, Jewish rabbi, and a Christian clergy together to discuss the Holy Land and issues related to the holy sites in Jerusalem. To me, that's very brave.
He's really a connector. He's a networker, and he brings people together. And I think that is what peacemaking, I think, is about, bringing people together, particularly people who are diverse of background and also people across the divide.
Early on, devoted to peacemaking, he would hold events. He would get large groups of people together. He would give big lectures like he just had at the Cartagena Congress. He would be very active in the world in pulling groups of people together.
Literally, John gathers people on a daily basis in different shapes and forms. I've seen John delivering a talk and bringing together maybe 6 students, undergraduate students. And I've seen John bringing together thousands of people and speaking to thousands of people. And what is really incredible, that he will always put the same level of energy and drive and preparation and care, regardless if he's speaking to presidents or he's speaking to some community leaders, in the middle of the Andes. Like I've been with John and we did some work in Colombia, and we engaged with some tribal leaders and, victims of the conflict there in Colombia. I've traveled with John to Lebanon. We engage with communities, from all across the world. I also witnessed and sat with John the meetings with presidents and Nobel Prize winners. And what is really unique and striking about John is that there is always the same level of care and dignity and kindness and engagement. Like he's probably one of the greatest listeners I ever met in my life.
I think there are many manifestations of John's bravery. I think, we encounter it all the time in his realism, his setting aside wishful thinking and facing the world as it is. And that's not easy to do, but he does it all the time, and he encourages us to do it.
One of the funny statements that we have in our IDI meetings when John is not there is when there is a question, and then the first answer is, what would John say? That way we help ourselves to actually think of creative solutions and as I said, hidden dimensions of of developments.
John is a great mentor. He's a colleague, he's a friend, he's somebody I very much look up to, and somebody who shapes my way of thinking and approaching my work and even my life.
He always greets me with a big hug, bear hug. Me being a small, short person, him a bigger person. So he embraces the person, he embraces the conflict, he embraces he's bigger, he's larger than life. And to me, that always gave me something to look up to.
Congratulations, John.
Congratulations to you, John.
Congratulations, John.
Congratulations.
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 Congratulations, John.
Congratulations, John.
Congratulations, John.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, John.
I'll give him a hug and congratulations from my heart.